Hi, I'm Jeff Bridgman of Jeff R. Bridgman American Antiques, and I've come here tonight to take you on a little walk through a booth at a recent show we did in Round Top, Texas. Now, while we were down there, my Yanks were not doing too hot against the Astros. That all very depressingly took place while we were down there, but not much of a Phillies fan. So after the Yanks were out, for all my Texas boys and girls, I was with you. I was with you. Uh, Let me tell you a little about the event because it's really unlike anything you've ever seen. The closest thing to it would be Brimfield, Massachusetts, which is a series of, well, it used to be about 21 shows. I think today maybe there's 16 or 17 events that take place over the course of about a week. And there's a couple in Sturbridge, which is a few miles down the road, but most of it takes place right in Brimfield itself over the course of a mile or two and in the little town of Brimfield, Massachusetts. Um, just like Brimfield, Round Top takes place 3 times a year. However, not to be outdone, because everything's bigger in Texas, right? Round Top is a series of almost 70 shows. It's 66, I think, are listed that take place over the course of 3 weeks. And most of them are, well, I can't say most of them are indoors, but a lot of them have big tents and or buildings of some nature. And so it's sort of more indoors, certainly much more indoors than Brimfield is. Not that there aren't tented shows, there are, but it takes place over about 16 miles through a number of little towns and is a really sort of a kind of an upscale thing because there are wonderful shops and there are great restaurants and there are all sorts of sort of classy boutiques and events that take place. Some dealers have special gatherings and dinners and etc. to showcase new merchandise. It's really has some of the hospitality of the South in a way that just Brimfield and other shows don't. So it's really something to see. It's mostly continental, but our show, the original show, is Americana focused. It's really the only event down there that's very much Americana focused. It's called the Big Red Barn, and it's been going on for about 50 years. So it was the one that started it all. And I think it's in its 51st year this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. It takes place at the end of October, ending right around Halloween or the 1st of November. And it's 6 days, our particular show. And then that same 6-day show takes place at the end of March, very beginning of April, ending around the 1st of April-ish, right around that time. And then there's one more that takes place pretty much right at the beginning of Americana Week in New York City, around the 20th of January. So 3 shows in Texas. The winter event, a 2-day show at our particular location, taking place about the same time as Americana Week typically goes on. I'll actually be in both places this next time, of all things. I'll have a gallery exhibit in New York, and I'll be in Texas at the same time. So at Round Top, of course, we take all Americana. And we have a massive space, about 60 feet long, great 10-foot walls, and we have some outside walls, so we can really take a lot of material to share with our clients down there. It's located about halfway between Houston and Austin, very easy to get to, and beautiful country, great restaurants. The food's wonderful down there, not to be missed. So when we go to an event like this, we finish about 40 or 50 things. So I really try to take all new material to any sort of show like this. you'll see a couple of things that you've seen before. I can think of one major flag I have out that's been somewhere else and a painting. But of the hundred and some things we have out, I try to make it a very small portion. Um, and anytime we're coming to a show like this, call us ahead of time if you know you're going to come and you want to see something in particular. I'd love to see 13-star flags that are between 4 feet and 6 feet long and are XYZ in terms of price. We would love to bring them to share them with you and let you see them in person. So without further ado, let's take a spin around the booth and see some of the wonderful new material we were able to share in Round Top. Have a look. Here we are at our booth in Round Top, Texas. As you can see, we have brought with us all sorts of Americana and the typical range of the things that I bring to a good show. Paint decorated furniture, folk art, carvings of eagles, game boards, etc. We have wonderful liberation flag here. Look at the wonderful sawtooth stars. Never actually seen anything like them. Found in an attic in Paris. Wonderful sash up top. Those are two flags along the top of the booth that are guidons for both a cavalry unit and in the north and in the south. Here's a beautiful kerchief with an image of George Washington, made in 1889. Only one I've ever seen in the marketplace. Sioux beaded child's moccasins. That's a calligraphy from Hellertown, Pennsylvania, from 1874. Wonderful calligraphy of an eagle. Here you'll see a poster of a guy that looks like Buffalo Bill, right? Actually, it was somebody who dressed up like Buffalo Bill, renamed himself Cody, was in the Wild West shows. Buffalo Bill sued him several times, but he was really like the British equivalent of the Wright brothers. He invented a war kite that was used in Britain and was an early pioneer in flight. Look at the beautiful eagle on this parade flag. The biggest parade flag I've ever seen with an eagle and the imagery. It's a paint decorated blanket chest from Maine. Here we have a Texas Confederate variant and one of the best known flags from the Lincoln and Johnson campaign of 1864. Great juxtaposition of flags from the Civil War. Look at the stars, not put on the cross, but in a circular pattern superimposed on the entire field. It's of a type that is been identified in very similar flags for Texas units. It's a great 1840s, 50s, 60s hooked rug. This is a 38-star flag, and look here at the wonderful job my staff did with mounting the flag with all these losses at the end. Beautiful, beautiful flag in motion, if you will. Super arched pediment, diminutive, maybe went over a window, New England. Look at this great Taylor sign with a S reversed. Early 19th century sign, repainted later, but 19th century. I'd say this particular sign, 1860s, 70s, 80s. So early. It's a beautiful Civil War flag. unusual, the column of 4 stars in the center, small in scale, hand-sewn stars, lots of movement. There's a 16-star exclusionary flag, and one of the best that exists. And look at this beautiful carving from a ship. That's ex-Norm Flaterman, famous military dealer. Look at the depth of the carving. Solid mahogany, 19th century. It's a snowflake pattern, 13-star flags. Really one of my favorite design, if not my absolute favorite design in early 13-star flags. Terrific kerchief with Trumbull's image of the Declaration of Independence signing. It's actually not the signing, but the presentation of a draft to the Party of Five. We're really moving along here, as you can see. Great Centennial rug, 1776, 1876. See very few wonderful patriotic hooked rugs of the period. This is one of the earliest 13-star Betsy Ross pattern flags known to survive. It dates to the Civil War period, and I know of only 2 others to predate the 1890s and actual surviving flags. Great Teddy Roosevelt textile, showing a political victory over Canada, with the first bear to represent Teddy and the second to represent Washington, D.C., and Canada as the lynx. Tiny 38-star flag among sewn examples with a notched pattern, beautifully hand-sewn. There's a great commissioning pennant. Look at this beautiful signboard from a wagon, probably from a American Express or American Railway Express wagon. A pair of signed chaps made in Oregon, 19th century or very beginning of the 20th. $35 stars and a snowball medallion. No stars in the corners. A man with a heart, a party with a soul. Really, probably the best poster of the 20th century. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, it's hard to deny this is a pretty great thing intrinsically. A great little 36-star flag with a great star in a wreath design and 2 stars in each corner outside the pattern, Civil War era. And this is an interesting thing. I bought this at the show. It is plaster. I buy very little plaster, but look at the surface. This is even, I mean, it's really so much better in person, so much depth. It's darker than it appears here, and the surface is even better than it appears. Gorgeous thing. Looks like wood. I brought 2 Texas state flags, both 20th century, but nice earlier examples. That one made in Richmond, Virginia by Sherritt Flag Company. Here's a great little 13-star flag with a dusty blue canton made between 1890 and 1895, and a red bandana from Teddy Roosevelt's 1912 campaign. This is a great flag for someone who wants something of scale and in an earlier, say, turn of the century flag, but doesn't want to break the bank. Great choice. Not quite 4 feet in length, but almost. There's my other Texas flag, about the same period, 1930s, 40s, 50s at the latest. And above it is a great centennial flag with hand-sewn stars and a medallion pattern. Ideal for somebody who wants one really great flag or an excellent example from 1876. Manageable scale for a sewn flag and just beautiful. This is a Stevens graph, which is a woven silk picture made with a modified jacquard weave loom. This particular one produced by Thomas Stevens, who developed that technology in England around 1862. A lot of camp blankets, and didn't bring them all to this show, that's for sure. Maybe 100 of them. And there you have it. Thanks for taking the time to stroll through the booth with us here in Round Top. And feel free to contact us anytime. We'll be right back here at Round Top for the winter show and the spring show. Check my webpage for details. Be sure to contact us with any questions. Please know that we ship every day all over the United States and sometimes all over the world. And hope to see you soon.